Won't you come along and join me on that heaven's road? Hello, family. Hello. Good morning. I'm really glad to see you guys. We have a few announcements as usual, so let's run over those together. We'll start with Middle School Monday, which is happening tomorrow night from 6 to 7:30 here in the chapel. So they're going to decorate Christmas cookies. Seth or an intern, Alexa, anybody, you want to say something about it? Go ahead.
No, she's going to be here. Also, please bring $3 for service. We're going to be doing service projects for the month of December. So that money is going to go towards doing more projects.
Okay, cool. Did y'all hear
Also,
that?
Allison will be speaking.
Oh, awesome. Good. So I look forward to it. Awesome. Wonderful. All right, so Dig Devo, Seth, you want to take it?
We will also be doing Middle School Monday this Monday, and we're going to have Michael be speaking to us, and I think Marcus has some plans for us, but he hasn't really let me know what's in. So just come, it's going to be fun. Yeah.
Something weird,
Oh,
I'm sure.
Upper Fellowship Hall.
Upper Fellowship. Okay. All right, thank you. So both groups will be here just in different locations. Very good. All right. Now, we mentioned this Wednesday, but we do have just a lot of Christmas parties coming up. The middle school party, oh man, is that next Saturday? Is that right? And then the high school one, I think, is next Sunday. So, and then there's all the Cocoon Christmas parties. So they're all kind of happening all over the place. By the way, 8th grade Cocoon Christmas party was the funnest day ever. I have some video footage to show you from Wednesday. It was hilarious. And anyway, I'm looking forward to showing you that. For just to mention this, all right, we're about a week ahead. But if you've been here for a while, you know about this tradition. If you're kind of new, you might not. We always, for our gift swap for the party, you have to make a homemade gift. Okay. So for that, be thinking about what you want to do. It can be something crafty. It can be something horrible. It can be something that you bake or make, like some kind of food. Anyway, the creativity for the parties is just amazing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. It might be a book of dating advice from Darian. That was given last year.
I got that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be Saturday and then Sunday. What else do we have, Seth? Yeah, this is big. This coming Wednesday night is another Wednesday, so looking forward to that. Be thinking about who you can invite. We'll start at 5:45. We'll have some food together, play some games. By the way, Yeti Set Go games, Christmas edition, this coming Wednesday, so that'll be a lot of fun. So anyway, be here for that. We have a guest speaker who it's a mystery. I haven't even told the interns who it is. So we're going to have some fun Wednesday night. I promise you, you're going to want to be here. It's going to be really, really, really special. So make plans to be here and bring a friend with you, of course. All right, I think that's about all. Is that it? You can take that one out. We delivered all the stuff to Agape this week. Thank y'all for bringing your gifts in. And then one more quick announcement that we do want to encourage you to sign up for Up Groups. That's our mentoring program where like 3 of you will sign up and you'll be assigned to a mentor. That's going to be a really awesome thing. I don't see the Misty's out here today, but anyway, he's running late. So anyway, you might see him later on. That's what that's about. All right, I think that's the last announcement I have. Let's bow together for prayer, and then we'll dismiss our classes. Father in heaven, thank you so much that we could be here this morning to learn more about your will and your word and what you want us to do. I pray that you'll bless everybody during this time of year as entering into the holidays. There's a lot of people that are reminded of loss and of just hard memories. And so we pray for those that'll be dealing with that during the holidays. We're grateful for the way that you continue to move and work here in this youth program. Grateful for our Cocoon leaders and our teachers as I think about the blessing that they are to our kids and so many people in this congregation who've invested into our students here. I'm grateful for that. Father, bless us again as we study this morning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, you're dismissed. All right, y'all tell me. Let's start this way this morning. I want to hear like just some good news. I want some good things going on in your world. Okay, anything at all? Yeah.
I was able to build a gingerbread for the first time in my life yesterday.
You built a gingerbread house?
Yeah, but like, they never work out. They always fall apart.
Oh, and actually stayed together. Is it still standing? Congratulations. What a milestone. I love that you celebrate victories like that. What else is good? You got any other good things to share today? Yes, ma'am.
Last night, me and my dad stayed up watching MASH.
MASH. Now that's any of y'all ever watched that show? Ever heard of that show? Bailey's raising her hand. And that's it. Just Bailey. MASH. Y'all ever heard of MASH?
I've heard of it and never watched it. I didn't even know it's
All right. It's about like the military.
hospital.
Yeah, it's like
they do all these PD things all the time. Pierce and Honeycutt like to play tricks on like everybody. Constant radars. He's not an officer, but he does everything for like everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. MASH. I'm pretty sure it still holds the record. Something to know about MASH. It was the most watched finale of any show in history. Like you think about like Seinfeld and Friends and like all these shows that were massive. MASH had the most viewership of any finale in television history. So there's your fun fact of today. That'll be great at the Christmas parties this year. Share that with your family. Impress them with that knowledge. So, hello, Mike.
Hey, I'm sorry to walk in. You walk past.
Oh, it's the walk of shame. No, it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so any other good things to share? You're watching MASH. You're building gingerbread houses. Nothing else? Man. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's the middle of our food drive.
Yeah, is it going to be a big one?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I think so. Very cool. All right. Y'all ready for Christmas?
Yes.
Good. Me too. Me too. You'll get your shopping done. No. What are you asking for this year? Money?
You can 12-foot tree.
I'm a little bit concerned. Lucas is 10 and Holly is 9. And I don't know if you should be doing this yet, but for Christmas this year, Holly, age 9, says clothes. That's not good, is it?
No.
No, we should not be in that phase yet.
Does she have Santa?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Does Lucas have Santa?
The Santa thing is still going on. No, Lucas was like at 6, was kind of like,
That's
no, I'm not buying this.
It's not happening.
Yeah, he just,
Something ain't right.
and he was like proud of himself for like, in his mind, like figuring out like he was really smart.
At least he's proud enough, like, Santa.
Oh, he wasn't devastated.
cried.
Yeah, and Holly, I think Holly knows some stuff, but she won't say anything.
Oh, yeah.
She won't acknowledge it, but she's sharp. She's smart that way. You gotta watch her. I want clothes for Christmas.
Nobody wants clothes.
I didn't ask for the clothes until I was like in school.
I still don't ask for clothes.
Yeah, don't.
I asked for
Who asked for clothes for Christmas? Anybody? You asked for clothes?
I asked for like, I
To me, it's like I don't want to ask for clothes for Christmas because clothes are a necessity. I'm probably going to get them anyway, right? I have to have them.
what clothes did she ask for?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what she asked for.
Yeah.
She's got a good mama that, and she wouldn't ask me for clothes either. She did ask me for one thing. She said, "Daddy, what I want for Christmas is a diamond ring."
Did you get her a diamond ring?
I did not get her a diamond.
Wow. The only thing she asked for is
But I did get her a ring that has her birthstone in it. and it's got some little, I don't know if they're like cubic zirconia or they're straight up, or they're little tiny diamonds that go all around. But I thought I did good. It's not a diamond. I didn't shell out thousands of dollars.
You'll have to tell us how she likes it.
Yeah, she's somebody that I could see, if she really appreciates something, she'll cry a little bit. Like it's really sweet. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see. All right, let's review. Let's see. We've been talking about what in this class? Cereal. Yeah. Also the parables. Yeah, very good. And so over the last few weeks, we've covered a lot of parables. The most recent one that we covered is the last one there. Do you remember what that one was? Prodigal son. I thought you said Frozen. Yes, Elsa and Anna, the parable of Frozen. No, yeah, the lost son. We talked about the prodigal son. And then Craig actually preached on it the next week, which, that's great. I love that parable, one of my favorite stories in all of God's Word. So that was last. And then when I think about the pig on the cereal box, it makes me think of the clip that we showed from Dirty Jobs of the pigs eating all of that nasty stuff. Yes, the vomit. That's exactly right. So anyway, let's see. This week, Blueberry, which we're going to talk about the parable of the talents. And remember, there was one of the servants who buried his talent. And so, Blueberry. Have you ever had Blueberry cereal?
Yes.
How do you feel about Blueberry? Overrated, underrated?
It's okay.
It flies under the radar. It's okay.
I think it's.
Blueberry, it's okay.
I think so. I've never heard of it before.
Really? It's Count Chocula,
It's like
Blueberry. There might have been another one.
Yummy Mummy.
Frankenberry. There's Frankenberry and Blueberry.
Yummy Mummy.
Is that a thing?
I have a puzzle with a bunch of old cereals on it.
And that
So
exists.
I've heard of it.
I believe you.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's turn in our Bibles this morning to Matthew chapter 25, where we're going to study another one of Jesus' parables that I think is one of my favorite stories. From Matthew 25. Let me get some readers today. Can I get a volunteer to read the verse on the screen? Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Or it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1. To each according to his ability, then he went away.
Very good. All right, so this morning I don't have a little note, fun sheet activity thing for you. Are you crushed by that?
Yes.
A little bit. Do you like those things? Nah. How's Blueberry? It's okay. Have your worksheets. I don't know. All right, so you don't have a fun puzzle this morning. You're still welcome to take notes if you'd like to. But from this parable, there's already a few things, and the parable's a lot longer, but we've only read 2 verses. There's a whole lot kind of packed into these 2 verses. So let's kind of define some terms, some characters here. The master in the story represents God. You can probably do that. The servants or the stewards in the story represent us. The journey, I think the journey is kind of interesting to think about, because remember, the master leaves and then he comes back. And you think about, in a way, Jesus was here. He entrusted his followers with things, or God has given us some things. He's gone away. He's going to come back, right? And I don't mean God's gone away and he doesn't exist. I'm saying he's going to come back. Jesus is going to come back to the earth one day. All right. The talent, by the way, a talent, a lot of times we might think of a talent as, I'm really good at basketball. That is my talent. And that certainly would apply here. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But in this story, this idea of talent is, if you see like one of them got 5, one of them got 2, one of them got 1. A talent is worth about 20 years worth of wages. Okay? So, let's imagine you make $50,000 a year. 50,000 times 20 is what? Is that 2 million? What is 50,000 times 20? 1 million. So 1 million. So wow, okay, so think about it in these terms. The master leaves, and he says, hey, before I leave, I want you to watch, I want you to take care of my property. And he gives them $1 million worth. And by the way, he gave one of them 1 talent, right? So we can multiply that over a few times. So think about it. The servant that gets the 1 talent, you're like, oh man, he only got 1 talent. What if he got $1 million to take care of? Wow. That's a big responsibility. Okay, so anyway, that's important, I think, to think about in this story is what is that really representing? The distribution of talent. It's how God entrusts us with responsibility. God entrusts us with responsibility. It doesn't mean like, hey, I love you so much, here's $1 million. God doesn't do it exactly that way, but what does He entrust us with? That's a good question. What does God entrust us with?
Praise spreading God's word.
We've been given the gospel. He's entrusted us with His word. Very good. What else does He give us? You know, think about it. In this story, it's the master's property that he lets them look after. All right? You have a house. God's entrusted you with a house. Do you have some money in your bank account? God's entrusted you to watch over that. None of that really belongs to us forever, right? But God lets us use it. Why? To accomplish His will. The master gives us the property that we would take care of it and do good things with it, right? So that's pretty important. You have a car. God's entrusted you with a car. How can you use a car to glorify Him? Has He given you a job? How can you use that job to bring Him honor? How can you honor Him, glorify Him with that? Has He given you a cell phone? How can you use that phone to accomplish His will? Do you see? We've been entrusted all these things. All right, and let's go to the next screen here. Again, I want to mention this. Now, when we think about this parable of the talents, immediately in my mind, I always think like, talent, ooh, I can figure skate. I'm a great figure skater, or I'm a ventriloquist, so that's my talent. That's not what we're talking about in this parable, but the principle would apply to our talents as well, right? To our gifts and our abilities. So, a minute ago I said, has He given you a cell phone? Well, that might sound kind of weird to think about, but has He given you the ability to listen to people? Has He given you the ability to lead people? Has He given you the ability to play a sport really well? Has He given you the ability to have a really sharp mind? Again, those all apply, right? We might not be talking about money, but the talents that God's entrusted to us, that still applies to this parable. So anyway, so if you think about, when we read this parable, the talents, and you think about, oh, my talent is public speaking. Oh, my talent is, I am good with money, or I understand numbers. That still applies to the parable, right? The principle's still there. What has God entrusted you with? It might be an ability. It might be some possessions. It might be a great family. Whatever's entrusted you with, you got to use it for it. All right, so let's keep moving. All right, so here's what happens next. So the master leaves, and then he goes on a journey. Who will read this slide right here? Just what is on this screen? Any volunteer? Will you read for me? Is that okay? Yeah, just that right there. You can stop at the very end. All of it. Pick up there. He says, I've made 5 talents more. So his master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also, who had the 2 talents, came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. All right, if you think about $1 million, this guy has how much? All right, so here's a guy with 2 million. All right. By the way, what would 5 of those be? All right, so there's a $5 million servant, a $2 million servant. I'm not saying it's exact math, but I'm giving you an idea. It's a lot of money, right? 20 talent, 20 years worth of wages. All right, who got the 2 talents? Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here, I've made 2 talents more. You gave me $2 million. Here's $4 million. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. It still sounds like a lot. But I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forth, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours. Now let's stop right here. So we have 3 servants who take some different approaches, right? The first 2 servants take a similar approach, right? They take what's been given to them, and what do? Yeah, they do. They make even more money, all right? Or they do even more with the investment, all right? And here's a guy who, what does he decide that he's going to do? First 2 decide, I'm going to be wise with this money, I'm going to invest it. What's this guy saying?
He rather hide it than try to use it.
Yeah, I'd rather hide it. Now, imagine you've been given $1 million. Would that scare you to death a little bit? Would it overwhelm you to think like, wow, I don't want to blow this, all right? What's his reasoning? Now the other ones, they come and they have something to show for it, and this guy, he gives an excuse. What's his excuse? He says, listen, I knew that, and by the way, it's interesting, none of the other servants look at the master as, he calls him a hard man, right? None of the other masters are thinking about the harshness of the master, only the one that's afraid, right? And he's afraid, and he thinks about, Lord, Master, Lord, I knew how hard of a master you are, and so that scared me to death. And the responsibility you gave me, I didn't know what to do with it. And so what's he do? I hid it in the ground. Now, you get $1 million, you bury the treasure, I'm going to keep it safe. Isn't it interesting that the master's not pleased with that fact? I'm going to keep it. He's not pleased with the fact that this guy just wants to play it safe and hide from his responsibility. All right, but his master answered him, you wicked and slothful servant. Slothful is not a word we use a whole lot, but you know what it means? Lazy, and maybe you have a Bible that says the word lazy. Wicked and lazy servant. He calls him evil and lazy. You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gathered where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the makers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. Next to the next slide. My own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has more, who has, will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the servant, worthless servant, into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. All right, so here's what I'd like to hear from you. After you listen to this parable, these teachings of Jesus here, what does he want us to learn? What life lessons, what takeaways do you guys observe from this lesson? Yeah.
I think the 2 servants who brought back stuff are they're talking about they went out and used their gifts and got the eternal life. The one that did is the sinner who is the perishing.
Yeah, so to me, I love what you said there. To me, one of the big takeaways at the end of it is I want to be one of the good servants. I want to be one of the stewards that God says, well done. You've been faithful. You've done well. I want you to come and be with me, right? Versus, so yeah, one of the takeaways from the parable is I want to be one of the good servants. I don't want to be the wicked servant that doesn't get to be with the Lord. He says, cast that servant out. So yeah, that's a good place to start. Thank you, Laura. What else do you see in this parable that you think, okay, that's worth looking at? We need to remember that.
God lets us choose what to do with our talents.
Man, what a great observation. God lets us choose what we want to do with our talents. Isn't it interesting that in this parable the master doesn't say, hey, I'm giving you this talent. I expect you to do this with it. What's he do? He says, I'm letting you take care of this for a while. I'm going to come back, but I want you to watch this for a while. And so he may not tell you exactly every little decision you need to make in your life. He may not tell you what your career needs to look like. He may not tell you, I want you to marry that person, or I want you to do exactly this, or I want you to live in this place. He may not tell us all that, but what does he tell us? Well, in this parable, he tells us that he expects us to be faithful with what he's given to us, right? To make sure the things that he's entrusted us with, we do something with those talents. Very good. All right, what else? What else do you see? Michael at the top.
One thing that I see is whenever reading the parable and starting out how the master gives the 3 talents of the 3 servants, or the talents of the 3 servants, it kind of makes me think how God has allowed us to partake in him, partly. And in the end, it just shows that the person who didn't do anything after partaking part of the prize was thrown into a pit in the shadows, but the person who took part of the prize and did something with it, he was blessed.
Very good. Very good.
Well, can I add?
Absolutely. Add something.
The one who hid his talent was alone. When Christians, we have a family, we aren't like people in the world think that. But we know that we have each other and we have someone else with us.
That's right. At the end of the story, he's cast into a dark place, a place where you're right. It feels like he's probably alone. And in God's family, we get to enter into the joy where our Master is. Very good. Landon, I saw you.
So we were talking about what does he trust us with? He trusts us with our salvation and the choice that we have to make to be able to, have that salvation. He gives us the opportunity, we have to take it. But I think with that, the master gave the servants the talents, and I think of that as their salvation, and they use their salvation to give others that chance to make that decision also. And the one kept his salvation for himself and didn't share it. But the others went and made more disciples.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it too. There were 3 servants. One of them had a faith that was really small, right? The others decided to do something with that faith. What a powerful thought! This is a story about what do you do with your faith, right? Do you believe that the Master can do things with what you've given to him? Are you going to be faithful with what you've been entrusted with? How much faith do you have? If you have a lot of faith and you live out your faith, you'll be blessed for it. If you shell up and hide your faith, in this story doesn't end well. Very good. Good stuff. All right, what else? Darian.
That you have to invest in your talents, and you have to put God first within your talents, and then just use them.
Oh, wow, I love that. Invest your talent. Invest your talent. All right, that actually is the next point I want us to talk about. Things that I want to pull out of here. The first one, isn't it interesting that in this story, there's no such thing as a servant that's been given 0 talent. Everybody in this room has been given something, right? And that speaks to the generosity of our Master. He's a giver. He gives everybody talent, each according to their ability. Remember that little line in the parable? God's entrusted you with something, and he expects you to use it. And so that's really the next question I want to ask, is what's God in, next slide, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's entrusted to them his property. He's letting us watch it, and then he gives to us each according to his ability. There's some people that it seems like God's given them a lot of ability, right? A lot of talents. There's others that maybe you haven't been given a whole lot, but you're still given something. Whichever you are, whether it's 5 talent or 1 talent, he still expects something of you, right? Let me ask you this. What is a talent that God has given to you, and how can you use it for him? What is a talent that God has given to you, and how can you use it for Him? I knew that this was a question nobody wanted to raise their hand and say, let me tell you why I'm talented. So what I would like to do is, I'm going to call on you, because I'd love to hear something that you feel like, I've got a gift to do this, and I'd love to hear how can you use that gift. Okay, so all of you are like squirming in your seats. But Trent, what's the talent God's given to you, and how can you use it for Him?
I'd say, like socially, like my ability to like connect with people, and sounds kind of arrogant. But like, I don't know. I guess like being a likable person. So maybe I.
No, hey, it doesn't sound arrogant to me, because to me it's okay for you to understand your talents. And I think that if any of us had said, hey, what's Trent's talent? In fact, that might be a more fun way to do this. What's Trent's talent? Probably a lot of you would have said, Trent is a friend to everybody. And he's got this likability to him, right? And so how can you use that? Well, socially, I can encourage people. I can lead people. I can help people. Very good. All right? You want to do it that way instead? What is a talent? What's a talent that God has given to Bradley Kirby, right? What's a talent that God's given to Bradley?
Funny man.
Yep. God's given Bradley a sense of humor. Yeah. How can Bradley use this gift of humor to bring honor to God?
Humor in a sense brings everybody together because we all like to laugh and have fun. So it's really good to have somebody who can be able to influence, move people.
Humor brings people together. I like that. That's so true. We're drawn to people if we enjoy being around them and they make us laugh. We enjoy being around people like that. And it draws people in. Well, how can Bradley use that? He can draw people in for Christ. All right? How about Emma Salvino? What's the talent Emma has? Emma loves this question. She's smiling, so she's so happy right now. What is a talent that Emma has?
She has a big heart. So, like when my cat Sam died, she came over and brought this basket of goodies that I liked. So she was there.
How sweet. How sweet is that? She has a big heart, and she was there for you and did something to encourage you. When did you say that happened?
January.
How sweet. Very thoughtful. Very good. How can, well, I would say, how can Emma use that gift? She is using that gift to encourage people like what? Very good. How about Cade? Ooh, let's pick on Cade. Cade loves it. What's a talent that God has given Cade Mashinsky?
Kate, good at listening to people. He's always slow to speak, but he's like quick to listen and
Look at you quoting scripture about Cade. He's slow to speak, but quick to listen. That's what the book of James talks about. And yeah, you nailed it. And he's got this likability about him as a listener. And well said. Well said. Is this fun?
Yeah.
Let me tell a quick story from our Christmas thing yesterday with the 8th grade. We took them to Opryland, and they had to do a scavenger hunt. It's a little bit like Good Will Hunting, except instead of like going and finding locations, it was like we had a list, and like I had the 8th grade boys on my team, and we gave them the clues one at a time. And it wasn't like, hey, go find this. It was walk up to somebody and do this. And we wouldn't tell them anything that they had to do. It was like, all right, who's volunteering for the next one? And none of them wanted to do it. And so that, you know, it was like, okay. And you would finally get one of them to say, all right, I'll do it. And one of them was like, find someone in the hotel, like a total stranger, that will sing a duet with you like a Christmas song. And so like we recorded all this stuff. It was so funny. But one of them was find a perfect stranger Christmas list with them. And you could, and it said in parentheses, it was like, you cannot tell them this is for a scavenger hunt. Your first line has to be, excuse me, can I please share my Christmas list with you? And so, yesterday.
I would do that.
And so poor little Mason Perky. He gets that one. And we walk over, and I'm recording this, like kind of the hidden camera walking around. And I'm like, what about this person? He's like, I don't know. And we look around some more, like, what about her? She'd be good. He's like, I don't know, let's keep walking. So we walk around the lobby for a minute, and there's this older lady sitting by herself in this little chair, and she's got her suitcase. And he's like, I think I'll ask her.
Oh.
So he goes over, and he's like, excuse me, can I share my Christmas list with you? And she goes, yeah. And so he gets his phone out. He had it on his phone. He was like, I want this. It like goes through this whole thing, and I'm just recording this laughter. And then there's no like good way to end that conversation. There's no good way to end. Like, how do you? I didn't think about like how do you end that conversation? Like, well, thank you. Like, yeah, thank you for listening. Yeah, tell Santa for me or what. But he read all this list here. He goes, do you like that?
There
Do you
was a
like
long
that?
pause. It was a really long pause.
It was a long pause.
It was very awkward.
So, do you like that? She said, yes, it's very good. It's very good. Anyway, how did we get there?
Those videos need to be made into the slide.
Oh, they'll be here Wednesday. You
Oh,
guys can watch that Wednesday. Yeah, no, the only reason I thought about that was because I said, do y'all like this question? It made me think about this. Do you like that? All right, we could probably spend more time on that question, but everybody in this room has been given talent. You've been given something, and it's up to you to figure out how you're going to use it. That's really, that reminds me of chisel. Does that remind you of chisel? Everybody's been given a gift. How are you going to use that gift? Same idea. All right, next life lesson. Don't bury your talent. God doesn't want us to be afraid of responsibility and play it safe. Number 3. Let's talk about that for just a minute. What do you think it means to bury your talent?
To hide it.
To hide your talent. Yeah.
Kind of just like not doing anything with it, which is just as like everyone has their own thing. If you're not gonna do it, you might as well not even have it. It's just waste of it.
On.
Like throwing it away almost. Like never basically opening the box.
Oh yeah. I like the way you put that. If it's a box, and you just throw it away, you don't even open it. You don't even see what it is. There was a big news story this week about a FedEx driver in Alabama that took tons of gifts, or tons of packages, and dumped them into the woods, like hid them. And think about all those boxes that were never opened. You know, I can keep going with this. We bought something this past week. We bought something this past week. We needed a piece of furniture, and Laura was for more storage for Legos, because good grief, we got a bunch of Legos, and Christmas is coming, and here come more Legos. So you got to make room for Legos. So we got this little thing that is like all these little cubes. You know, it's like this shelf that's got all the cubes and spaces, so you can have like Star Wars cubby and Harry Potter cubby, and not that their Star Wars would fit inside of that, or Harry Potter would anyway. So you got that, and so we go and we meet this guy for the furniture, and we drive up to this old building in the Madison area. We're like, I have no idea where this is. And Laura's like, here's the address. There's no sign on the property. It's kind of weird. And so we get there, and the guy's real friendly, but I'm like, hey, what is this place? Where are we right now? And he said, well, it's actually the back part. I'm a licensed electrician, so I've got some work things back here. He said, but up here, he said, I've started to get into this Amazon return pallets. He said, so have y'all heard about this? Where you can buy pallets of Amazon returns, but you have no idea what's on the pallet. I thought so too. he was like, I said, that sounds like a really cool thing. I said, so tell me like the coolest thing you've ever, tell me the coolest thing you've ever gotten or whatever. And he's like, see those wakeboards over there? Like huge, like paddle boards, stand up. It's like, those were in an Amazon return. I got to keep those. Anyway, but think about it. What would it be like if you had all this stuff, you didn't know, you never took the time to open the boxes? And that made me think about going to visit the guy with all the Amazon stuff. He had all this stuff. He didn't even know what he had. You didn't find out until you open it up. Maybe you don't know what your talent is yet. Open it up. Take the time to learn what your talents are. The next one, number 3, I think. The master is fair. Did you notice that? The master is fair. He rewards those who are faithful, and those who are unfaithful, they're punished. Number 4, I think this one's really good. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your life. When it's all said and done, have something to show the master. Have something to show him at the end of this world. All right. Time is up. This is exactly when we're supposed to be in class. How about we pray? And who will lead us in a prayer today, asking God to help us do our best with our talents? Somebody lead us in prayer? You got me? Thank you.
All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day doing this. I thank you for all the talents you've given all of us, and I pray that you allow us to use them in a way that's worthy to you. Thank you for sending your son down to die for our sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Adrian. Y'all have a great day. Your talent